kind of lost our voices in most cases. However, it's such a fun subject to be talking about, and something that I love and I've been working on for the last 5 years. I kind of started it by accident, really, and it's kind of grown crazily. I've talked about it at a few conferences already, and I'm going to IRCOS to Bangkok next year, and I'm going to present in my own school a series of 5 workshops where teachers are going to go through. So I've spent quite a lot of time on it. I've written a dissertation on it that finished my master's. Ralph here has told me the one-line edition. So Ralph, share the one-line summary of gamification.
Well, whatever you do in a classroom, and we all know that we can improve it by making a game out of it.
And you know what? That's half true. So that's good. The other half is sometimes making a game out of it makes it worse. And I think that's something we should get into, and probably the first part of this topic. Part of our gamification tonight is that Seti has almost lost his voice, so we put him entirely on silent. He will be using body language to try and communicate important messages to us.
What a good game.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole stream is gamified. Yeah.
I am going to quickly greet everyone and just say hello. This is about all you're going to hear now, because my voice is, is gone. So thank you for joining the show. I'll be in the chat. I'm manning the chat today. Drop your questions, share out the video, and that's me over and out.
That's it. Well done. So that's Seti's contribution, and I think the show will be good without him.
Will we share a screen
today? He'll be able to do the chat and manage things for us. That'd be nice. Yeah. Now I just have to press the mute button on Ralph whenever I feel like it in the musical round of this particular thing. And Gary's just going to laugh along, so it's all perfect. Nothing here. An hour's monologue, I reckon I can manage that, except my voice is also going, so we can't do that. Right, okay, so let's pick up what Ralph was talking about, how games make things better, right? Now, Gary, if I said the word extrinsic and intrinsic, would they mean anything to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It means if an extrinsic means something that you like, and when you say intrinsic, it's coming from within. Well,
perfect. Perfect.
Most time it's matched with motivation, isn't it? Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation.
That's right.
I'll say packer and extrinsic.
I love it. We've defined the words now. We're almost sounding like a proper conference here. This is good. Word round.
You approve of our definition?
That's why I'm excited for this episode, because I don't know anything about gamification.
All right, okay. Well, we are going to be starting to do some stuff. So I'm going to give 5 points each.
Of words. I have to promote Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. I'm not sure if we could quickly share my screen. Is that okay? As a first...
Well, hang on a minute. We haven't actually started the topic yet. Give us a chance.
That doesn't matter. I'm already. Just give me a minute for one.
And there goes any videos we had. Right, now, moving on. Extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. And for the bonus point, Gary, which one do you think, extrinsic or intrinsic, which one is ripe for gamification?
Which one is right for gamification? I think it's
which one?
Intrinsic. Intrinsic, right? Oh, no. Why?
Okay, because if somebody's already intrinsically motivated from within, then that means they already want to do it. So if somebody wants to write an amazing essay, apparently on the dictionary for whatever reason, or they want to create a beautiful piece of art, gamification can actually demotivate. And that's where it's dangerous. Okay? It is quite dangerous.
Got it.
Whereas with extrinsic motivation, if it's something that kids don't really want to do, then that is a powerful way to get them started. And that's really where gamification comes in. And that's where it's powerful. It's also if you're not sure a child is going to enjoy it, or it's something that might lead to risk, gamification is, and the reason I use it for coding is not because it's not great fun and fun to do in its own right, but because of the risk taking that's involved. And kids will fail, they will do badly at it initially, possibly. And so by gamifying that assessment, you are just reducing that risk down to zero. So it's all about extrinsic motivation. And that's why sometimes it can be quite challenging because, you know, some students don't need gamification. And some students, if you gamified something, it would make the lesson worse.
So how can you say that it's good to use gamification in class? Well, how can you easily gauge the student if it's good for the students or not?
Okay, yeah, that's true. Actually, it's remarkably easy as teachers. If you know a student's going to enjoy that task and will not need any further motivation, you don't need to gamify it.
Okay.
Yeah. If I gave you a page from the mathematics textbook and the kids got in there, said, "Great, fantastic! I've got a page of exercises to do." Happy, happy, joy, joy. But if they like, oh, this is a bit boring, I don't want to practice this or whatever, then that's where gamification can really come in, you know?
Okay.
Ralph, yeah?
Yeah, can I quickly share the screen?
Go on then. I knew I'd have to go. Go for it, Ralph.
Okay.
What is he going to do on us?
Okay, can you quickly confirm that you can see my screen?
Not yet.
I can see his screen. I can see his screen, yes. Yeah. Now, okay, add to stream. Ta-da!
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
It's a mega sale.
No, we are at the Oxford Learners Dictionary site,
Oh,
and
here we go.
as a non-native speaker on this panel, I promote the use of dictionaries, and in any moment where this can come in handy, where students can look up, you can make a game out of it, who can find it the quickest. And let me quickly read the definition of the noun gamification. The use of elements of game playing in another activity, which in our case would be teaching or learning, usually in order to make that activity more interesting. Now, I want to go back to the definition of game, also a noun, which says an activity or a sport with rules in which people or teams compete against each other.
Okay. Now this is interesting, isn't it? Now, thank you for that, Ralph. So let's look at the difference between these. And games are the full thing, right? Video games are games. Now, gamification is bringing in aspects of a game. So it doesn't have to bring all of the game elements. And
doesn't say a computer have to be involved or anything.
Nothing. We haven't said that at all. So here are some of the. I also looked it up in the dictionary previous, handy enough. And here are some of the elements that you could bring into your lessons to gamify them. And the key thing about gamification is you don't have to bring in all of the elements. Yeah. Now, competition isn't what I put on it because the banner's a bit big, but these are some of the things you can do. Points, badges, levels, leaderboards is probably competition. Challenges and real-time feedback are kind of considered the stalwarts of gamification. There are other things, but all of these things can be. But if you look at some of these do not have to be competitive. So badges, levels, challenges and real-time feedback and points don't have to be. They can be about you improving yourself. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And I also have gamified my coding to a very large degree. And I've realized that there is a way to do this in terms of an order to do this, to fully gamify things. And you don't bring in everything at once. And I actually think the most powerful thing is real-time feedback, but that's often the most difficult thing to do.
Sorry, real-time?
Feedback.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But my goodness, isn't there a company that makes, let me think, forms?
Okay.
That have quizzes,
and lockdown opportunity on a Chromebook.
Yes, and you can then get the feedback straight away, right? Yeah.
You even can make lessons where people who answer wrong on certain questions have to read up on that very element.
You can give them feedback, right? You can give them real-time feedback, in fact. Yeah, and that is almost an aspect of gamification, but a lot of people wouldn't say, oh, I filled out a Google form and got some feedback as fun by itself, but it is an element, and my students do love it than waiting a week to get the feedback back. You know what I mean?
Haven't we talked last week about make your own adventure, or read your, when you read a book and you choose where to go next?
Yeah.
I think our dear friend Wesley has made activities like treasure hunts. Depending on which option you choose on the form, you have other clues and next clues, and walk through until the end, and whoever gets there quicker. And that was awesome. And I must say, I've not done that myself. So that's a nested form of forms, I guess.
Yeah, and also, I wasn't on last week, but one of the things I would say that's really powerful if you want to make a more inclusive version is something called Twine. Twinery. Yeah.
There was a moment when I showed, I guess that was in the coding show. No, that was somewhere else. Where I showed my students Twine, who made a story where he had even an inventory with stuff you had to collect, and it was a thing he set several weeks on.
Now, the one thing I will strongly remind teachers of when it comes to Twine, the program itself is perfectly fine to use in education. However, many of the examples are adult in nature. So please read the whole stories before sharing with the kids. Just as an example, there was an episode of a TV show done recently on Netflix, and that show had multiple endings. That was actually written using Twine. The script itself was written using Twine. And I may or may not be correct in this, but I do believe they used the course that I made on Twine to actually learn how to use Twine. But that is possible.
I haven't used it myself, only from reports of my student. And but what he has made possible is an awesome thing, and I haven't found time yet to try it out.
No, I mean, it's relatively simple to use. I mean,
do you have, or anybody else on the panel, any experience with Goose Chase?
I don't know Goose Chase. I don't know Goose Chase. Do you want me to? Yeah, okay. So
you can share the comment from the live comment from Winona.
Okay,
sorry. And I was just trying to check it out, but I'm eager to see what's possible with Goose Chase and how it's different from Twine.
I mean, I think, well, Twine is a interactive fiction creator. Okay, so that takes a little bit more investment to use, but it is a very powerful tool, and both students can access it and make things, and also you can make things. And but the Goose Chase app is quite a lot of fun. Unfortunately, does anybody on the panel know how to use it?
I haven't.
Maybe we can ask Winnie to join us, right? If
possibly, yes. Our behind-the-scenes expert Seti can reach out and invite her. Let's see if she can join in. We'll talk about that later. But I would like to now talk about the process of actually doing this, because I think that's really important. There are a lot of models for this, and I've picked one that I've used before. But if you're going to start to fully gamify, there are some things, right? You should be looking to gamify something that the students think is dry and boring. That's the key thing. Okay, so you should be gaming things that potentially the students don't think is the most exciting part of the course for whatever reason. If they're already fully motivated, then the need to gamify is relatively limited and might just be about improving the quality of feedback. Does that make sense? So real-time feedback will work with anybody, definitely, right? People want feedback. If they can get it fast and quality, that's brilliant, okay? And through computerization, that is possible. However, if we're going to go through gamification process, we have these 4 E's. So I'll quickly explain them. Enroll means explaining the rules of the game. And as Ralph just said, you know, games have rules, right? Yep. So you've got to enroll. You've got to tell people what the rules of the games are, what rewards they'll get, how it will work, and make sure they're comfortable. If it's going to be some kind of competition, you have to gauge whether your students want to know their own points, how you're going to do that discreetly, or whether they're likely to be okay with a leaderboard. Now, leaderboards only motivate the top 5%. They demotivate the 95%.
Something to the rules before we go on to the leaderboard, because that is a very valid point. As a child, I feel that often rules, I felt that they restrict you from things. But you grow up and you see that rules are also meant to be broken in a way that you can, when you play further on, you can bend rules if you agree on something to make differently, which can make the game more interesting, and especially with more free games, or when we come to Twine, where you build your own games, it's so vital to provide a set of rules to get the player find the edges in the game.
This is where we're getting almost to role-playing games, and they're an excellent advantage at gamification, right? Role-playing games are superb, but they do have a background set of rules.
Books on some. Books
but a good games master can change those rules. But they have to change them in a way that people think is fair.
And that they make the game more interesting.
Yeah, fairness and interesting tend to go together, also, I would say leaderboards, real question mark over them. So the way I do my gamification is only the top students actually know they're on a leaderboard. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you're in the top 5, you get to know. And the way that games, an excellent game to learn about gamification is Clash of Clans. They know every trick in the book to motivate people to pay. Yeah? So if you are a teacher thinking about gamification, try playing Clash of Clans and you will see all of the tricks in action, and you will see this whole process in action. Now they're out to make as much money as possible, so they're fully motivated to do this. But the enroll is getting people on board, getting people to enjoy it. Now, if this is a creative exercise, the gamification elements might be very, very light. Yeah, they might be as simple as explaining some rules, making fun, creating the environment. And when we're talking about the kind of gamification we're looking at now, we're not necessarily talking about storytelling, because storytelling is another thing in its own right and a very powerful motivator in its own right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so I do think we are getting people excited in different ways. So enroll is about getting people used to the rules of the game, whatever the rules are. If you, as a teacher, change those rules, that's fine. But remember, some students like consistent rules, particularly younger children. And they certainly don't like the teacher to break those rules either, you know? Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. Now, what is interesting is Sarah Green has just communicated that she's read an interesting article about Dungeons and Dragons group set up as a communication group for some not very verbal ASD students. Massively improved communication and went on to lead its own group. So you can see how these kind of gamifications can work. Now, they've obviously taken some aspects from Dungeons and Dragons, or perhaps even played the game and got it to use communication. So very interesting what's going on. Another one I've just seen is Classcraft, and I think that's a great way. Gamifying discipline, it can be a fantastic way to do things. So that's quite interesting too. So, with gamification, you can pick the parts you want. Okay, fantastic. So I will go back to our little process. So enroll, enthuse, engage. So we've talked about enroll, thinking about the rules that are going on and doing that. And I do have...
If I may add, for example, in Kahoot, just students joining with their correct name. I make it a rule to do that. Just with in Thailand, students have nicknames.
Yeah.
So usually I have them all join with their nicknames, and everybody who doesn't use their nickname or has any fancy things added to it gets kicked right away. You can click on the name of Kahoot, and that is not for me showing my power as a teacher that I can kick them, but so that we can use maybe these the feedback for students who need help understanding the topic, and for them to keep the first rule, and so everybody is identifiable.
I mean, that's definitely one way to do it. I mean, I have a simpler system because we have merits, and I say if your name isn't clearly identifiable as you don't get the merits, and if you use somebody else's name, that person gets the merits. I get problem solved. The students don't really want to give merits, and it only takes once for the student to say, but actually I'm sorry, the name is, that's who gets the merit. So I think with Kahoot, for me, Kahoot is fun and it gives you a good gauge, but I don't generally use, because they like to guess quite quickly. Quizzes I find a little bit more reliable, but Google Forms a little less motivational, but is always the more reliable out of those threes. And I would strongly recommend quizzes.
You can make it with pictures. You can put some effort into it and really make them good and interactive. And give feedback.
And quizzes and Kahoot both rely on competition, which, as I say,
have you used quizzes?
Quizzes is great, and it does
flashcard based. If nobody.
Quizlet. Quizzes or Quizlet?
Quizlet, sorry.
Okay, there's three. Quizlet's great for vocab. So all four of those should probably be in your toolbox. So you've got your rules. Enthuse, that's where you as a teacher show motivation and encourage people on board. Also, in the enthuse stage, you give out the goodies like sweets. You give out the badges, you give out the points, you get things started. You have simple tasks to get the kids on board, and you give out those points and give out onboarding badges, all of those. You've got to do that to get kids through the first level. Anybody played a video game?
Yeah.
Code Combat.
Okay, an actual video game?
Only in club. We play Counter-Strike.
Okay. Counter-Strike, possibly not the best example for this, but it is an excellent game. However, the first level of nearly every video game, is a tutorial level. They nearly always make you super overpowered and really show off the game. Would that not be true? Gary, is that your experience?
Well, I was thinking of Mario Brothers. It's not really a video game.
Well, Mario Brothers is, and the first level, it was one of the first games to do it. The first level, you get to play with a turtle, you get to jump, and it doesn't kill you immediately. It was probably the pioneer of this concept. It really was.
Not that Atari.
So Mario Brothers. In fact, Mario Brothers is taught in most video game colleges as one of the most perfect ones, particularly the Super Nintendo versions and the Wii versions. They are, who's who of how to run a game. Okay. So enthuse is about getting people on board, explaining the rules, not killing people off immediately. in Mario Brothers, and those kind of things. And Code Combat does the same. It does the same on the first little bit of the level. Yeah, right, Ralph? Is that right?
Sorry, with Code Combat?
The first couple of levels, they're kind of introducing you, ease you in gently.
They're easy. Nobody can really fail them unless you don't read.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, even that, yeah.
And they keep the motivation up easily as well.
Yeah. Swift Playground's another one where they do the same thing, okay?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But they're all good and they all work. And they are doing that enroll and into infuse, then rewarding you lots and early. And then the engage process is to take you into the main game.
Again, with all these mega successful mobile phone apps, which are definitely not good for the classroom, but they work a very similar concept. In the very beginning, you get the paid money, you get some coins for free, and you even spend the coins on some extras in the beginning of the game without even knowing that later on you will not get them in the game and you will have to pay for it. So there's the incentive that, oh my God, with that coin I get this upgrade to my toy and I can make better progress, but later on you have to pay. So that's only from a psychology trick in the marketing from these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are just trying to use those psychological tricks for good. We're
not
trying
for the students to pay, obviously.
Yes. Well, they kind of do pay in most schools because international schools, they have to pay the fees in the first place. But the thing is, we are trying to get them to do this and using these motivational techniques to get people encouraged. So these are the first 3 stages. Now, India is the Minecraft. My year 11s love Minecraft again because they have lovable memories of when they used it when they were younger. Yeah?
Oh, that's it. Very interesting.
Parents take their kids to a Disney film because it's endearing. Okay, so these 4 stages are really important, and this is just a model, but it's a great model to show, and it would work in any lesson where you need to think carefully about motivation in terms of the way things work. And I think that's a really nice start point. So I thought I'd just take you through that model because I think that shows you about the kind of gamification. Now, I think I might share my screen for just a moment so that we can play a little game.
I am very, very grateful to make us very consciously look on these stages. Thank you. I'm really grateful for that.
So we're going to have a look at another model, and this time around we're going to gamify it. So both Ralph and Gary are going to be playing, and Seti can join in, hopefully in the comments, which is doing a great job. And those
it's so hard not to talk. It's really hard.
You are doing an awesome job, and we feel you in the back room. How many comments are coming in the live chat? That is because of you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm sure the Twitter is going hot because of Sadie.
Yeah. Big shout out to Sarah about Quizlet. I think it's a fantastic tool. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's cool pace for the Quizlet. That is interesting. So that's nice.
Now, interestingly, Minecraft Edu isn't gamification. Any ideas what it is?
No, you tell me. It's just a game.
Did he say it? Well, I don't know. He probably mouthed game-based learning, possibly, or something like that. And that's what it is. It's taking a game that wasn't necessarily designed for education and making it into something education can use. Other examples of that are things like Call of Duty, where they've used the World War I scenario for older students and things like that, where they've taken an actual game and tried to use it for educational purposes. I did the same thing with SimCity to help teach economics. And so that is using game-based things. Yeah,
I just have to mention City Skylines in this moment, because City Skylines is a game which is not necessarily new, but I was very frustrated with SimCity that there are certain disasters you can't avoid, and at the end you just sit there and wait for something to develop.
No. However, the version I want to switch it off.
I repeat.
I have to unmute myself now. Actually, talking about game-based learning, the one I just just a couple of weeks ago, I had this sort of retro pop of a game I used to play. And we were busy in the makerspace. We were doing sort of Rube Goldberg machines and stuff. And it just hit me. I used to spend hours and hours on the Incredible Machine. So guess what we did? We ended up playing Incredible Machine. So
I am not surprised by that. Yeah, no, very good. So I'm just going to share this, and we're going to do this. I'm just going to share the screen, and I'm going to pick on a Chrome tab. Yes, hopefully this is going to appear okay. Can you all see this okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice, yes.
Yes. So we have some characters on this gamification bus, and can you recognize them? Are we all clear who they are?
Yeah. Spider-Man, Superman, Batman.
Okay. Good, excellent. And what I would say to you all is that these are very useful in terms of the way they go. And this is some simple motivation theory, relatedness, the kind of people who like to socialize. And let's see what people think about that particular concept. So I'm going to pick one, and if my game works, Gary is going to tell me relatedness, mastery, purpose, or autonomy. Where do you think Spider-Man might lie?
Mastery.
Okay. He's all about personal development, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Why do you think that?
Because he loves connecting with people, but he's not very confident.
Well, I can't see, sadly enough, I can't see the subtitles of the.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
I will go to the
like
live stream and
relatedness.
see.
Yeah. So relatedness is a user type who's socializer, trying for social status, social connections. You've just described relatedness there.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry if the screen's not perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Let's pick somebody else.
Superman is a very friendly and relatable guy. Doesn't he work as a journalist?
Yeah, I would say he's after those social connections. Okay, let's pick somebody who definitely isn't after social connections. Batman.
Purpose.
Autonomy.
There you go, straight there. Purpose. Okay.
Autonomy.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I mean, there's no right answer exactly, but something to think about. And
Who's
maybe
that? That's
however, that's Iron Man, and I would say he's autonomy.
Iron Man, sorry.
Like. Yeah. You know, Catwoman, Catwoman kind of has a purpose some days, depends what you read. For dear old Harry Potter, for a lot of the books, he was all about mastery, wasn't he? Trying to master his magic.
Yeah, personal development. Yeah.
These are intrinsic motivators, and what I would say about those things are, you've got to think about those, and are you going to tap into those? How are you going to tap into those intrinsic motivations when you're gamifying things? Yeah.
So this mastery is just amazing. Reminds me of this Twinery process of my student who really blew me away. That was last year's project, and he blew me away with that. So if you reach that mastery where in a game where somebody plays it very well or create something very well, even if you were in your early years on a computer and you did something with paint very well, then people would acknowledge it. Yeah,
absolutely. And that taps into creativity. Gamification certainly doesn't have to take away from that kind of creativity.
It is, if I may say, it is hard to see as a teacher if at first glance is the guy just slow, or is he just very accurate when we do artwork, or is he lost, or is he drifting away, or is he just learning? Depending very much on the process. If it is in Photoshop, sometimes you need a long time to figure things out.
And coming on to our next slide, I will share my screen again. Hang on a minute. I've just got to check I've got the right Okay, let's have a look. Hopefully this is going to work okay. So can you see this thing here, which just follows on exactly from where I've been led? So the other thing about, and this is so important to me in terms of learning to code, is that difficulty level has to be absolutely spot on. And that game mechanic Zen is all about not too difficult, not too easy. You know what I mean?
Well, there we have so many tools, which help us. Satie's flipped classroom tutorials is one of the great ones. If we use a certain task, which he explains, and his tools, we just refer to him, and we don't need to take away the time of all the rest of the students. Already know our skills.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I mean, I think what you do is you make those tasks much more complex as things go along. And for me, in my teaching of coding in particular, that gamification, that Zen, that zone has been so important throughout my career in terms of intuitively knowing it, having a nice model.
Big.
Yes. And that's something I manage actively.
Time down so many, and including us teachers when we learn something new. You can be feel pretty stupid, and it takes not necessarily experienced teacher, but it took me a lot of experience to be that confident in the classroom, to not buckle down or run away, so to say, from things I really don't know.
And I also think that with managing that frustration is really important. A little bit of barrier is good for a student. Too much is too much, and knowing your students well enough to know where those barriers are and how
go back one step and enjoy that last programming again and get that little sparkle in the end.
I have also taken a very conscious decision that when it comes to beginning coding, it is not homework. Too many people let the kids suffer at home. That is not the way. If you don't finish it in class, we continue next lesson. You go read something if you want. Go do something else, but do not give coding for homework because, and even when I do the A-level and I take kids a lot further and they are coding quite a lot, I will say, look, if you have a bug, no more than 10 minutes, okay? Come into school. If you send me a one-line email describing your bug, I will fix it the next lesson. I will discuss it with you in the next lesson. We will fix it together, whatever it is, because too many students have in the past said, oh, I had this bug last night. It was like 11 o'clock and then I still haven't got it. And literally I walk over to the screen, I point in the vague direction of it, and he's like, oh no, it's on line 25. I missed a colon. You know,
that is so good to have people next to you to help you through these horrible times where you're
half the time I basically walk in the direction of the student. I don't even tell them. They just, oh my goodness. And as I say, we have to manage that frustration. You know, a little frustration is good. I mean, you know, and I make these rules, but as I say, when I teach beginner programming, I never set it for homework.
We have to let Satie go. His voice is.
What do you mean let him go? I didn't mute him. It's self-inflicted now. He's taken a vow of silence. Okay, a vow of silence. You know, this is my one opportunity to talk. I'm feeling the power here.
All of us feel something is definitely missing. It's definitely missing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, next week, if you want this much raw power, I believe we have a slot available. And I promise, hand on heart, I will not say a thing. There you go. That is my promise to everybody. So tune in next week to see how I managed to avoid saying anything whatsoever.
Quick shout out to all on-watchers. I'm not even aware of how many we are at the moment. I think
we're almost in double digits. So thank you, everybody. Satie, I don't like to say this, but we're getting our most viewers ever since you're being quiet. You know, I'm not saying anything, but you know, we might want to take it. So yeah. So those are some of the key points. I just wanted to share some ideas. in terms of the kind of models that we look at. And a lot of people, they talk about gamification, they're using quizzes and things like that. And that's great. Those are ready-made quizzes. They do help. But using those gamification techniques just can help you with any lesson that you think it needs a motivation hit. We need to do something to help people extrinsically learn to love.
Well,
you've got to
it's beautiful how you even in this show gamified our answers to these intrinsic motivations.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to extend a little bit is I just want to show my screen one more time. I've only got
go ahead, plenty of more times. We always enjoy a screen share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just have one little chart that I'm sure is fully accurate here, but I showed you that 4E model, and you can see how things do demotivate if you don't get things just right. And what I would say is, in the India category, students will not only love the gamification, but they'll probably help you. I mean, I'm now at the stage of my year 12s and 13s where they're now helping make the next levels of the coding games that I've made. So I think that's quite powerful and really helpful to look at those things and see what's going on. And as I say, I've been doing this for about 4 years, and my system has become absolute spaghetti code. But the whole point is I've put points together and got a system together that really works. Okay. Yeah. So, he's disappeared. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't see the chat. I'm trying to do too much. Okay. But we wish him well and a speedy recovery. Next week, Seti, you might get your voice back. So looking good. Yeah, I that absolutely. Hot drink, Seti, all the best. Hopefully he read that himself. So that's all good. Right now, that's really the kind of things I wanted to talk about. And because I'm a man who said 1 hour max because it's near my bedtime and it's been a long week. Any final thoughts, Gary?
Well, I just want to know if you can share your slide with us. It's a good
slides. Yes, that's a good point. It would be a real shame if
I may quickly relay something from the YouTube chat. We were asked to compile a list of all tools we have discussed on our show.
Put it in the comment or description.
A long list of tools we have touched on. Some have even resurfaced in other shows, and we should do that. I'm not sure if we can promise it in this week, but we will share the workload and split the videos up. We watch them and make a list of each tool discussed, because that is really a good thing to have.
I'm just deleting a couple of slides from this because I think there's some random Google Forms in there which I don't really want anybody filling out today. If you love that presentation, then feel free to talk to me on Twitter. If you hated it, we value silence, like Seti. Fair, right? So I'll pop that in the comments. As I say, so it is a bit of a long link because I haven't had time to put the shortener up, but there you go. Okay. But it should appear on the YouTube, hopefully, without any problems. And as I say, it is due for an update. It's a bit of an older one, so there will be a whole new version with even more exciting things coming to EACOS next March. Okay, so coming to Bangkok in next March on an international tour of one destination.
Are we all invited?
Pardon?
Yeah. Are we all invited?
Ralph, you're invited to the after party.
Well, that's not what I want to see in the first place, but that is also appreciated. In the first place, but
I mean, EACOS is a conference open to all educators, so and obviously Ralph will be sharing the resources. Don't worry, but EACOS. You guys know? Do you know what EACOS is? It's like that. It's huge.
I think I've been there once. Did a big code for a big stage. It was.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It is quite a big event.
I have 40 breakouts events at times, or like 40
That
rooms.
sounds that does sound about right. I'll pop it on the chat for you so you can see.
In the Impact Arena the last time there, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, as I say, if you are interested in gamification and you're in Kuala Lumpur, I'm available for Teach Me KL at no charge. So that's the way it goes. But
oh my God, James, you are not only an inspiration for us, but for so many being like that.
Yeah, well, we do our best to help out. But as I say, I just want to be clear. ECOS is a fully paid for event, and I'm not here to promote it particularly. I'm just saying that I will be available in Bangkok around that time for the after party.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. All 7 of our viewers are invited. First pints on Ralph.
Yes.
It's all right. It's Bangkok. We can afford the pints. In KL, I wouldn't be quite so generous. So, yeah. So that's all good. Right, Ralph. Closing thoughts.
It is so true what we have discussed today, and I will have to be more conscious about how I use any tool or any kind of games. And I shall often go back. That is what I've also learned from the chat. Go back and think about little games or intros or icebreakers where you don't need any tools or computers or any digital device, and just a piece of paper and a pen, or even nothing. Do TPR, total physical response, and enjoy going away from the devices, also to move our bodies and get worked up.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I said none of that, but there you go. And just to let you know, my gamification system, fully computerized, fully about Google Sheets. The absolute opposite of everything you just said, Ralph. But good stuff.
I love using technology all so much already.
Yeah,
but
no, it's true. I mean, and you do need to break out occasionally. Once a year on a special day. Sometimes I even leave the aircon.
But you even leave the aircon on, or what was that?
No, I even leave the aircon, as in I go outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a special occasion. But the one time I did that with my students, and I got a drone, I thought I had a really exciting physical lesson for them. That's exactly what they said to me. He said it was okay once a year, but never do it again.
Okay.
Very subtle. You gotta love students. They tell you directly what that was feedback that I could action quite quickly. So yeah. Thank you very much.
Like to go outside. I don't know.
Yeah. Like pretty much all of the computer science students. Oh no, hang on a minute.
Oh yeah.
Science
students are very frustrated.
It's not true though. It's not completely true. I'm just thinking. I'm just checking. We do have some very active, healthy-minded computer science students. In fact, they're leading physical activities.
Just a quick reminder for anybody who's still watching, and I hope there are some, or rewatching that when we are not live, please share this link out for other people to get to know us, to join the Thursday PDs. And I have learned every single time on the show, and we are so happy to share and have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's Thursday. Enjoy. Thank you very much. And my voice will just about survive it. Thank you very much. Tune in next week to see how I managed to stay absolutely silent. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, James just left the studio. We can't go not live. I think we just have to leave the studio as well.
Yeah, but I'd like